Well, you guys, we're finally through all 6 seasons of The Dragon Prince with only one more left. That's right, Season 7 in December. But before we get there, I've had some time to think about which season is my favorite and which one's my least favorite. So, let's get into my rankings for every season of The Dragon Prince so far. And you'll probably be a little surprised with some of my picks. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real ranking, and today we're going to get into, yes, ranking every season of The Dragon Prince up to this point, seasons 1 through 6, and apologies if I sound a little stuffy, that's because your boy's getting over a cold, but it won't stop me from talking about my favorite seasons of The Dragon Prince and my favorite episode for each season. No, the episodes with RAYLA are just not my favorite all across the board. I'm sorry. But they are great episodes, don't get me wrong. Before we get started, of course, if it is your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where I love talking about movies, TV, and all the news in between. So if you do too, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, guys, like this video, and go ahead and get loud in the comments. I need to know your rankings. What are your favorite seasons of The Dragon Prince so far? And I need to know your favorite episode for each season. Now, I know this is challenging, but I actually kind of posed the question to you guys for you to guess my favorite seasons and the episodes in order. So I pulled about 5 fan responses. Thank you guys for being so responsive again in that community post. But let's get into this list that you guys made. And maybe I'll give you some hints if you're either warm or maybe if you're ice cold. We'll start with one comment that made me absolutely laugh. It's from Swifty Who Loves Bread. It looks like you're the problem, it's you. I'm just kidding. But you did say, all the RAYLA episodes, you can't stop me. And I put a pinned comment that said you cannot choose all of the RAYLA episodes because they're not all my favorite. I love those moments a whole lot and I loved RAYLA, but just not choosing all those episodes, that's too easy. You know what I mean? But Swifty Who Loves Bread, that was really hilarious. So let's get into the first comment that had the listing of what they thought my favorite episodes and seasons were in order. So Harmonious Harbor said, for season 1, episode 8, Cursed Caldera. Okay, it's a good episode actually. For season 2, you guys said, or you said I should say, episode 9, Breathe. Interesting. Okay, it's a very good episode. Season 3, episode 7, Hearts of Cinder. Now that episode is fire. No pun intended. Season 4, episode 4, you said Through the Looking Glass, and I do remember that episode fondly. It's a very good one. Season 5, episode 9, Infantis Sanguine. Is that how you pronounce it? That episode's really good. I mean, it's one of the best of season 5, but it isn't my favorite. And then season 6, episode 9, Stardust. So yes, that season finale is incredible for season 6. You all saw my reaction on the channel, but I will say, you didn't get any correct, Harmonious Harbor. Let's move on. We got user MeowCat09, and they said for season 1, it's episodes either 2 or 3. One of those is correct, but I can't tell you which one yet. Season 2, you said episode 9, not quite. Season 3, episodes 3 or 4. No, to both of them. Sorry. Season 4, episode 9. Okay, interesting. A lot of season 4 episode 9s, or episode 9s in general, lately. Season 5, episode 4. Season 6, episode 9. So you got some correct, you got some wrong. Oh boy. So you're getting closer, guys. You're getting warmer here. Alright, we got 2 more users I want to highlight here. We got Laura, friend of the channel, and they said season 1, my favorite episode is Wonderstorm. Season 2, Fire and Fury. Season 3, The Final Battle. Season 4, Through the Looking Glass. Another little nod to Through the Looking Glass. Season 5, The Great Bookery. Season 6, We All Fall Down. And we all will go to the last user. This is from Trey Irby. Hope I pronounced that right. And they were confident, y'all. They said, James, I know you too well. Well, you know what? Let's see. Season 1, you said episode 5 is going to be my favorite. Not quite. Season 2, episode 3. Season 3, episode 9. Season 4, episode 3. Interesting. Season 5, episode 2. And for season 6, episode 6. Well, well. It seems like you all were in the comments and had some correct and some wrong. So now it's time to figure out exactly which season is my least favorite all the way to my favorite. So we'll start with my least and then get down to my favorite, and each episode that is my favorite in these corresponding seasons. So let me waste no more time, you guys, and let's get into it because I'm super excited. Coming in at number 6, my least favorite season of The Dragon Prince is Season 4, and this was released in November of 2022, and it was definitely a season that had some good moments and some moments that made me scratch my head just a little bit. Now, listen, in the grand scheme of things, this episode, or I should say this season, plays much better in context of the entire series up to this point. You can't really get the impact of seasons 5 and 6 without understanding some backstory with season 4. Now, was the writing the best? Was the execution flawless? No, and it was the weakest in the series in my opinion. I do think there was a lot of hype writing on this too, so our expectations were here, and it was maybe not exactly as high in terms of how much we loved it compared to what we wanted it to be. So if we kept our expectations in check, I do think that this season would have played better. But on rewatch, I'm not gonna lie, it's really not bad, you guys. It's, again, just not the strongest season, and I think it's maybe a little overly hated, just a little bit. But my favorite episode here in Season 4 is Episode 3, Breathtaking. Now, I know that might be an unpopular opinion because there are so many good moments towards the back half of this season, but Breathtaking for me was just such a good display of how great the Dragon Prince can and is. So they do this thing where they have parallel storylines going on at the same time in episode 3 between, you have Zubeia and Ezrin and Soren and Corvus, and then you have Ibis, Terry, and Claudia. And those parallels were so cool. The music, the score, the writing, the dialogue, it all hit for me, and it did on rewatch as well, and I loved it. So I definitely think it's one of those episodes that elevates season 4. It's just some of the stuff in between with season 4 that made it, unfortunately, my least favorite season. Again, not terrible, just coming in at number 6. So let's get into number 5. And which season is at my number 5 spot? Well, it is season 5, which was released in July of 2023. Now, season 5 for me is definitely a step up when it comes to what we got in season 4. The animation style is the same across the board, and I wasn't a fan of it in season 4, and it's not my favorite in season 5. Thank goodness they sort of scaled it back a bit with the 3D modeling and gave us some more hand-drawn animation elements in season 6. I really loved what they did in season 6. It's probably the best animation since season 3, but in season 5, we at least get a little bit closer to figuring out just how much is at stake with Erebos' impending release from his Pearl prison. And season 5 had some moments that really worked for me, especially in my favorite episode, which is episode 4, The Great Bookery. I said this to Aaron Ehasz, and I'll say it again. The Great Bookery, at this moment in time, was my favorite episode of The Dragon Prince. Okay, after my favorite episode in season 3, but it was just so darn effective. The writing, you would think that, of course, one of our heroes, they're gonna meet their doom with these possessed shadow paws, you know. It really worked for me all across the board. Season 5, episode 4 just became instantly my favorite, and it held up throughout the rest of the season. Now, when it comes to season 5 as a whole, I don't hate it. Okay, I actually like it. It was enjoyable. I just think sometimes the animation was toying with me a bit, and I'm like, do I love it? Do I not like it? So, season 5, still better than season 4, but I do have to keep it at the number 5 spot because this next season is definitely levels above season 5. it does come in at number 4. And yeah, we're talking all about season 1, which was released in September 2018. This is what kicked us off, you guys. Now, I admittedly was a little bit late to the party with the Dragon Prince. I began during the pandemic after I finished my first ever watch along with you on the channel for Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm talking about the original, of course. And after that, you all said, hey, check out The Dragon Prince, which is co-created by one of the lead writers, Ehasz. And I thought, that's a match made in heaven for this guy. And guess what? You guys ended up being so correct, because season 1 has so much of that adventure to it, that the feel, the vibes that work for me through and through. Especially in my favorite episode for season 1, which is episode 3, Moonrise. Now, this is the one where I said it might be unpopular, because I get it. You might be thinking, Moonrise? Wait, what the heck even happened in that episode? I'll remind you. King Harrow dies, and it was the very first time in this series, of course up to this point, that I understood, oh, the stakes are pretty high, and they're being set pretty high by the creators after you kill the King of Catolis in episode 3. It was a bold move, but it did pay off for me at least, and I really enjoyed this episode. I also got to learn more about RAYLA, Callum, and at the time, Ezran, not King Ezran of course, but season 1 is just so strong, and it sets a firm foundation for the rest of the series moving forward. Alrighty guys, so let's get into my top 3. So coming in at number 3 is season 2, released in February of 2019. Yeah, right guys? Yeah, 2019. So this season basically said, hey, you liked season 1? We're gonna give you all of that and more. And of course they're not done yet, because season 3 was just an incredible first arc, right? But season 2 for me was just expounding on the lore of the Dragon Prince, and I loved that, because this is a rich universe created by Justin Richmond and Aaron Ehasz. The writing in season 2 is really strong, and we learn a little bit more about Viren and the lengths he's willing to go to have power and protect his family. Listen, protecting his family is a little debatable, because by season 3, that boy put everyone in danger. But season 2 just epitomizes why you should stick with this series, because I have some friends that watched season 1 and they said, you know what, not bad, and then season 2 kicks in and they're thinking, I'm locked in, and as you should be. Now season 2, my favorite episode here is episode 6, Heart of a Titan. Now you're thinking, a flashback episode, bro, come on. No, for good reason, because we learn even more about the emotional weight that Callum and Ezran carry as a result of King Harrow dying, because they've already had to work through Queen Sarai's death, and it's like, oh, they gotta handle both parents dead. So I love the fact that they were able to flash us back, but it was effective because it was a lot more show and not a lot of tell. So the Dragon Prince does that pretty well. As a series overall, whenever we hear our characters talk about a time in the past, usually outside of, seasons 4 and 5, we will see that, right? Love the way they handled it in season 6 with Viren writing his letter in the prison, and I love how they did it from seasons 1 to 3. Seasons 4 and 5, a lot more tell and not a lot of show, but in Heart of a Titan, oh my goodness, this episode had me tense. It worked tremendously for me. This is definitely an episode that makes you feel even more for Team Callum, right? I'm telling y'all that it was a heartbreaking episode, but it was heartbreaking in the best way. So yeah, season 2 at my number 3 spot, I think, is for me exactly where it deserves to be. But now it's time to figure out which season of The Dragon Prince ended up being my absolute favorite of the series so far. And I will just say, up to this point, well, I should say up to when I had previously watched season 6, to me, season 3 was head and shoulders above the rest of these seasons. It has everything you'd want. battles, animation is the best in the series so far, the writing is top notch, the directing is aces, it's everything you really want from the Dragon Prince, right? And then season 6 came along. So then I thought, oh my gosh, I'm balancing between the two, which is my favorite? So by process of elimination, you'll figure that out, but let's get into the season that comes in at my number 2 spot, and that is season 3, which was released in November of 2019. Now, again, this is the very first time we saw 2 seasons released in 1 year, and we're getting that again this year with season 6 having already been released earlier this year, and now we have season 7, the final official season up to this point for the Dragon Prince, being released in December. So this bodes well for me, because it tells me that they wouldn't double stack seasons if they didn't know they had a banger second act. And they really do. So they're going to end the second act with season 7 this year, and I think it's going to be great. So if the tale of the tape is true, season 7 has potential to be the best ever. But for now, we're talking season 3. There are so many elements in season 3 that allow me to feel for our characters emotionally, cheer, get upset, get sad. It just has a flurry of emotions that outpour from the screen thanks to the incredible voice acting, the writing, directing, and the animation. Season 3 for me blew my mind. Did we get awesome RAYLA moments? Yes, of course we did. Did we get incredible battle sequences? We absolutely did. And at this point, did it make me feel that Ehasz really is a big bad? Definitely. So season 3 was an excellent end cap to arc 1 of this series, and it proves that this show deserves to box with the best of them in the animation world. I couldn't tell you enough how much, when on rewatch, I even picked out new things, because there are times where I'm just in awe. And I'm like, oh, wait, that's happening in the background. So it's so cool that every time you go back to season 3, for me, you just fall in love with it even more. And you find new things to discover. And it just reinvigorated me as a fan. And I just said to myself, dude, this is why I love the Dragon Prince. It's a perfect example of that. And my favorite episode in season 3, some of you got it right. Now, some of you got it wrong. But it is episode 9. The season finale, which is titled The Final Battle. Now, I said it in my reaction and I'll say it again. This definitely has an Avengers Endgame vibe to it. We have Queen Anya leading all of the troops into battle against Vir and Ehasz and that army, and the bows and the arrows fling away, and it's so cool. Okay, it is so dope. And I loved how Callum eventually goes and spreads his wings, you know what I mean, to go and save RAYLA. It's so darn special to me, okay? This episode just knocks it out of the park, and then we get a cliffhanger, right? Where Viren awakens after falling, and he's like, whoa, how long was I out for? And Claudia's like, homie, you've been out for a minute. Of course, we don't learn that until, well, the next season. But still, it is just such a fun season. It's an emotional one. It's a great roller coaster ride, and by the end I'm like, no, let me back on this ride, because season 3 is excellent. It's a 5 out of 5 for me. Now season 6. Oh, season 6, yes, at this point you already know, ends up being my number 1 season of the Dragon Prince so far. I never thought I would say this. After singing season 3's praises, I never thought I would come here and say, you know what, season 6 has triumphed season 3's efforts, and it is true. Season 6, as we know, released in July of 2024 this year, and season 6 is just incredible. I mean, I cannot tell you enough. On rewatch, I'm thinking, no, this is a 5 out of 5 season for the Dragon Prince. It is just unbelievable what they pulled off. The animation is great. The writing is emotional as heck, okay? There are times where I was getting goosebumpies. And thanks to Jason Simpson's incredible voice acting, he ties it all together in episode 8, which ends up being my favorite episode this season, We All Fall Down. Of course, Viren's death, Soren saying, Dad, take my heart. Actually, hold on, Viren, no, you go ahead. And it's so incredible to see the destruction with Catullus. Of course, it's sad, but it's incredible because this show is giving Game of Thrones vibes at this point. Now, overall, season 6, you just get the best RAYLA moments. You get the best adventures. You get everything. It just seems like, hey, I see you season 3, but I'm going to do it a little bit better. So, of course, season 6 is aided by having season 3 as its predecessor, because the creators said, let's take this time now to work on what we know can be effective for fans and for the show overall. And of course, Ehasz is freed from his pearl, and the man is Godzilla. He's Godzilla, just in Zadia. So it's incredible to see how they've accomplished something so great with season 6. I can't even explain and put into words by the end how ready I was for season 7. And then for us to say, hey, I wonder when it'll be released, maybe next year. And then we get this release date for season 7 in December. It's just incredible. So yes, season 6 for me is just the culmination of the patience that we have as fans, the time we've put in to the show, and it really shows off how excellent this series can be from episode to episode to episode. So yeah, season 6 is my #1 season of The Dragon Prince so far. Will season 7 triumph even season 6? I mean, again, if it's anything like season 3, it's gonna be #1, but it is only gonna take us some time just to wait and watch. So if you don't want to, of course, miss out on my review, my reactions for season 7, and all the news leading up to it, hit the big red button below and get subscribed to the channel. But now that you know all of my seasons in order of least favorite to favorite, do you agree with me? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below, because if you've skipped all the way to the end just to find a recap, of course, because I'm gonna give you one, here it is for you. My least favorite season of The Dragon Prince is season 4. Coming in at number 5 is season 5. Number 4 is season 1. Number 3, season 2. And number 2, season 3. And that leaves my #1 season of The Dragon Prince being season 6. So there you have it, you guys. That's my ranking of every single Dragon Prince season up to this point, and my favorite episodes for each of those seasons. I cannot wait to hear and see your guys' reactions to this. Read your comments. But again, this was so much fun. We got a lot more coming this week for the channel. I'll be watching Beetlejuice this week, dropping a review, and Transformers 1. That movie is surprisingly good. So I will be dropping that review this week as well. I cannot wait to get into my thoughts. And if there's any Dragon Prince news, you guys, your boy's on top of it. I promise you that. Alrighty, y'all. Well, I'm going to go and drink some, what would Claudia call hot tea? Whatever she calls it, that's what I'm going to go and drink. Alrighty, y'all. Well, again, thanks so much for watching. God bless you guys, and I'll catch you at the next screening.